Before we start using the dependency injection container in our code, we need a place to put our code. So what we're going to do is create a module. We're going to call the module blind date. This is a terrible pun, but I think it's appropriate, right? Because we're not exactly sure what we're getting into. We hope for the best, but we're kind of going into this blind. We're taking a look at Drupal under the hood. We're hoping what we see is positive, just like we would on an actual blind date. So this will serve as the structure in which we can create examples that tap into the dependency injection container and then the other parts of Drupal that are also built on top of Symfony, like using events and creating our own services. To start out, let's jump to our Drupal 8 installation. So you may have your source directory open from your examples folder. But let's go ahead and go to the base folder of our Drupal 8 installation. And we're going to create our module inside of the modules folder. Again, in Drupal 8, it introduces the really cool idea that you can create modules inside of the modules folder instead of inside of the site's all modules folder. So we'll open up this folder and we'll create a new folder called blind d8, blind date. Now, as we go through this process, I'll explain some of the things that have changed since the initial videos in this series. Initially, we used a snapshot of the development branch of Drupal 8, and there have been a few things that have changed since then, so I'll talk about what those are as we go. My hope is that you'll find the differences between the different versions of Drupal 8 to be sort of telling about the direction that Drupal 8 is going. These are things that have changed in the last 6 months or so, and we're dealing with a much more stable version now. Alpha is still not entirely stable, but even more of what we're doing now is going to hold up until Drupal 8 has a production release. Okay, I'm going to open up the blind date folder, then I'm going to jump to the resource pack directory, and we're going to copy this 10th step, which is called blinddate.info.yaml initial info file. Copy it, and then paste it inside of our blind date directory, and we'll rename it blinddate.info.yml. The structure of this file should be familiar if you started this series from the beginning. Let's open it up and take a look. Nothing here has changed. We have our name, type being a new key inside of the info.yml file that we explained earlier, the description of the module, the package it belongs to, and what version of core it aligns with. Now, unlike the previous version of Drupal 8 we were using, now a module only needs a .info file in order to be installed. It doesn't need a .module file. In fact, there are plenty of potential use cases where a module won't have a .module file at all. So at this point, we can go ahead and install our module. So let's go to our browser and we'll go to the extend page. I'll click manage and then extend. And let's do a search for blind. Okay, so we got blind date here and we should be able to enable it and save configuration. Okay, it looks like it went through. We have our module installed, but it's not doing anything yet.